Hello, Bionicle fans! It is October 31st, or should I say, Thocktober 31st. Thock jokes aside. Happy Halloween! Bionicle, or more specifically Generation 1, has had a host of mean and despicable characters throughout its 10-year storyline, from the traitorous Akmu to the hypnotic Tattorack, or even the brutality of Makuta Gorast, just to name a few. Today, we dive into the mythos of these horrifying monsters we love or hate. My name is TheShadowedOne1, and these are my picks for the top 10 scariest Bionicle characters. At number 10, we have Ernak. Ernak is the mythological entity of terror for all Skakdai. Tribal leaders on the island of Zakaz told stories of Ernak to instill fear into the populace. In legend, Ernak would wipe out entire villages, leaving none alive before moving on. While Ernak is a myth and never truly existed, when the Paraka entered a chamber in the search for the Mask of Life, it took their worst fears and made them a reality. And thus, Ernak lived. Ernak turned the Paraka's worst fears against them, and only by Zaktan's willpower and threat to end themselves to destroy their fear did they finally overcome Ernak, making him disappear. That is why Ernak is number 10 on this list. At number 9, we have Prydak. Prydak is the undisputed leader of the League of Six Kingdoms, and for good reason. Originally a servant of the Brotherhood of Makuta, Prydak went on his own to conquer the universe. Eventually defeated and sentenced to the pit, Prydak, like the other Baraki, became mutated by the pit mutagen, turning them into terrifying creatures. He eventually came into conflict with the Toa Matoran of Mari Nui over the Mask of Life, threatening to destroy all those in his way. Even after escaping the pit, he continued his quest for ultimate power. Prydak is not on this list for his powers or abilities, but for his cruel and sadistic personality that defines him. Willing to kill for the sake of proving a point and a mad conqueror, Prydak deserves to be on this list. At number 8, we have Rudaka. Rudaka is the treacherous vortex from the island of Zia, former viceroy of the Vizorak and lieutenant of Makuta Tattorack. Rudaka is as traitorous as it gets. She brokered deals with the Dark Hunters and the Brotherhood of Makuta, secretly trading information to both sides. She's responsible for the death of Sidorak and the near turn of Vakama to the dark side. Let's forget that part. Mutating the Toahaga into Rahaga, as well as freeing Pterodax from his protodermis prison. Her betrayal would eventually make her the target of not just the Dark Hunters and the Brotherhood, but of everyone. She is devious, treacherous, deceitful, cruel, and just plain bad. That is why Rudaka is on this list at number 8. At number 7, we have Vizon. Vizon is the mad half-Skakdai created by the Spear of Fusion after it was fired at Vizok. He had no powers due to his unnatural creation. Vizon stole the spear and left for Voyanui. Vizon became a guardian for the Mask of Life, and fought and lost against the Toa Ignika, and thus the Mask. He came in service for the Order of Matanui, and finally became fused to Konoe Elmak, granting him its power. Vizon is on this list due to his unpredictability and unstable but tactical mind. One moment he can be polite, the next, a murdering psychopath. He was also far more dangerous when he wore the Ignika, and rode a Fenrak, and had a wide array of powers that made him unstoppable. Now, with the power of dimensional gates, he's finally a force to be reckoned with. At number 6, we have Makuta Igarax. Igarax is a member of the Brotherhood of Makuta, and one of the most bloodthirsty and warmongering beings in the entire universe. Igarax prefers the direct approach, killing you and stepping over your corpse to get what he wants. This characteristic has brought him into conflict with Pterodax many times, but there is no denying that all other Makuta fear him. He is powerful, sadistic, cruel, and a madman bent on domination. Unfortunately, he never sees his plans go through, as it takes 3 of his own Makuta brothers to ultimately defeat him in Cardanui. Igarax's lust for carnage is why he's on this list. At number 5, we have Zaktan. Zaktan is the leader of the Paraka, and a sadistic and brutal Skakdai. Originally a slave in a protodermis mine, he was brought into the Dark Hunters, only to attempt to kill the Shadow One and fail, resulting in a fate worse than death. the Shadow One's eye beams unintentionally mutated Zaktan into a mass of prototypes, changing him into a worse monster than before. He eventually left the Dark Hunters and traveled to Voyanui to steal the Mask of Life, but failed twice thanks to the Toa Inaika. Zaktan was brutal and monstrous to his fellow Paraka, and would not hesitate to kill them all if need be. He had the power of laser vision and the ability to disperse himself to avoid attacks or to attack, making him an unpredictable entity to face. At number 4, we have Karzani. Karzani is the sadistic dictator of his own realm named after him. He's the brother of Ataka. Karzani was supposed to repair Matoran that were sent to his realm, but due to his horrible building skills, he made them worse and turned his land into the Matoran equivalent of hell. He would eventually meet the Matoran who would become the future Toa Inaika, travel to the pit, face against Tattorack, and be defeated before finally being imprisoned by the Order of Matanui and killed by the very Matoran who he dismantled, Velika, who is secretly a great being. Karzani is probably the most unpredictable on this list because he's absolutely insane. He wields flaming chains, and his appearance is something out of the darkest nightmares. Speaking of nightmares, Karzani wears the Knoi Olisi, the Mask of Alternate Futures, which allows him and others to view alternate realities that would have happened, like Jailer witnessing Takua's death, or Pterodax's fear of Matanui's wrath upon awakening. All these and more are why Karzani is number 4 on this list. At number 3, we have Krom. Krom is an extremely powerful and horribly disgusting entity that existed before Matanui, and created by the great beings to run the Matoran universe. Discarded, he was fused to an island. Brutaka and his team stumbled upon his realm and were witness to his horrible form. Krom is a large, scarlet, gelatinous form with tentacles and sockets for eyes, and if you stare too long, you'll be driven insane by his appearance. Krom is capable of great telepathy and can probe minds with ease. He's also responsible for the death of Karapar, who was disintegrated by his eye beams. Did I forget that he can grow eyes and fire disintegration beams? That is why Krom is number 3 on this list. At number 2, we have Annona. Annona is an ancient entity that predates the great beings on Scariest Magna. She is a dream feeder and attempted to feed on the minds of the great beings, only to grow their imagination and take her dreams away. Hungry for a feast, she eventually fed on the dreams of the Iron Tribe, causing most of the Agori to go mad and die. Annona is an extremely powerful psionic and a psychopath to go along with it. In truth, Annona is the Bionicle equivalent of Freddy Krueger. She is described as a sphere-like sun with tentacles. That description alone is terrifying. And add that to the fact she feeds on dreams is why Annona is number 2 on this list. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. At number 1, the scariest Bionicle character is Makuta Pterodax. What more is there to say about Pterodax? He is by far the scariest and most horrifying character of them all. Why? Why is Pterodax the worst? The list is as near endless as the schemes upon schemes that Pterodax used to conquer the literal Matoran universe. Pterodax, as we all know, is the great mastermind that hatched a plot to take control of the entire universe and succeeded. After thousands of years of planning, waiting, victories, defeats, setbacks, and more, Pterodax finally took control of the Matanui robot and unleashed a reign of darkness on all. Besides that, Pterodax was also responsible for the defeat of the Baraki, usurping his leader Miserix and taking control of the brother to Makuta, putting Matanui to sleep and nearly killing him, taking control of Metru, starting the Dark Hunter Brotherhood War, manipulating hundreds to make his plan succeed, killing his Makuta brothers, and eluded death far too many times, and much more. He is the ultimate villain, and the scariest Bionicle character that ever lived. That is, before being ultimately and finally killed by a fragment of a moon during the restoration of Scariest Magna, which actually completed his destiny. That is why Pterodax is number 1 on my list. That concludes my top 10 scariest Bionicle characters. This list was extremely difficult to come up with, as there are so many characters in this complex storyline. Tell me if you agree with my list, or if you disagree, tell me who you would pick as your top 10 scariest Bionicle characters. Comment and like, it helps me out, and I hope you all enjoyed. Have a happy Halloween, and a great Thoctober.